Behold, there is magic all around us. Behold, there is magic all around us. Behold, there is magic all around us. Awaken, rejoice, and sing. Behold, there is magic all around us. Behold, there is magic all around us. Behold, there is magic all around us. Awaken, rejoice, and sing. I am the air around you. I am the breath of life within you.
Welcome, everyone, to our memorial service for Samhain. We're very glad that you all have joined us tonight, and we have a few people here at Soul Blossom Center. And together we're going to have a memorial. Here in Ulster County, where we live, it's been a spectacular fall. We've had amazing colors. All the leaves just peaked. They were beautiful shades of red, yellow, orange, and gold. This is the week, actually a couple days ago, and now it's raining, but they were falling like rain. And for those of us who practiced nature-based spirituality, we see in nature the reflection of the concept that as all things grow and ripen, so they too must fall and die. The season of dark, short days and winter's rest approaches. The falling leaves with their rich smell and the sound of their crunch beneath our feet, along with the change in the wind and the air growing colder, and the light shifting between the trees, tells us that the change is in the air. For those of you who love to walk in the woods as much as I do, the smell of the leaves at this time of year and the earth itself is beautiful. And to me, that reminds me that death itself can actually be quite beautiful. Our culture, which is very materialistic, teaches us to fear death, to shun it, to not speak of it, lest it catch us unaware. We cling with greedy fingers to the things we can hold in our hands or we can consume. It's very hard for us to realize that in ancient times, people felt differently about life, and it was more a way of life. Indigenous people throughout the world and people in ancient pagan times believed that death was very different and had a far wiser meaning for the living. Our Western secular culture has often neglected the time-honored need to properly mourn and embrace all the cycles of death and of life, particularly taking time to remember those we love after they have gone. Throughout the world, from Asia and Africa to the Americas, other cultures still honor their dead. Devotees set aside the time and sometimes a special shrine in their place to properly mourn and remember loved ones regularly. A good example is our neighbors to the south of the border in Mexico and Latino cultures throughout the Americas. On November 1st, we celebrate El Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. And people celebrate and honor death with vivid colors, feasts, marigold flowers, sugar skulls, and beautiful masks of the skull-headed Katrina. People will bring food and liquor and flowers, and they'll play music and visit their relatives and bring them cigars, refresh their graves, and go spend time in the cemetery so that they can spend time with their loved ones and family members who have gone before in this life. What is remembered is not forgotten. Pagans also celebrate and remember the beloved dead. And we celebrate the holiday of Samhain, which is coming up in what we call in our calendar, Halloween. This custom has deep roots in pre-Christian Europe. In Celtic and Teutonic lands, the night of October 31st was called Walpurgis Night in Germany, and it was the beginning of a 3-day fire festival. Pre-Christian pagan people did not see death as an end, but a veil that closed between our world and the spirit world. By observing nature, they realized that at this time of the year, the veil thins, and it allows us to reconnect with loved ones and spirits. They believed that the ancestors should be remembered and venerated. The idea of ghosts and skeletons and monsters rising from the grave to haunt us began with the idea that if we did not honor our ancestors properly, they might come back and return their due. But let's not forget that they were not afraid of the dead like we think of the way that we are afraid sometimes. They actually would build their houses over their loved ones. And a lot of the sacred sites in Europe are placed right over the home. The home is placed right over the grave. They would welcome their beloved dead to be remembered at this time of year as a welcome and sacred duty. The words guest and ghost have the same roots. What is remembered is not forgotten. So tonight we thought we would make space here at One Spirit to honor the dead with this memorial service. With the COVID-19 pandemic, America has sadly lost about a little bit before more or a little bit less, we're not sure, 230,000 Americans to this disease alone. Others have died in tragic numbers from deaths of despair through addiction and suicide, and the everyday deaths of accident, disease, and old age are also present, as always. It's shocking that with a tragedy of this magnitude, our nation has not held a day of official mourning. And with that in mind, myself and Reverend Diane Emerald and the others who join us here from Soul Blossom, we all thought we'd present this opportunity for us to hold sacred space and remember. We will be creating sacred space in the Wiccan tradition, and we invite you as an opportunity to join us by lighting a candle at the appointed time, and you may share the names of the loved ones that you have lost this year, especially anyone that you've lost to COVID-19. Together, we'll offer words and heartfelt comfort so that we may properly remember them. With that, I turn it over to Reverend Diane Emerald Bronowicz Egelhoff, who will cast our circle.
In Wiccan traditions, casting a circle is a way of establishing sacred time and sacred space. By drawing its boundaries, we create our own pocket of reality, a time that is not a time and a place that is not a place. But we can gather together as one, even though we are not physically with one another, we are physically apart. First, to do this, we'll call to the four directions and the elements, that they may empower our circle and protect our right. By the breath we draw to speak our memories, we call to the east and the element of air. Power of intellect and inspiration, rising with the dawn of new beginnings, opening our minds to knowledge and wonder. Power of air, hail and welcome. By the love we share that burns in our hearts, we call to the south and the element of fire. Power of passion and will, emboldened with the heat of the noontime sun, inflaming our hearts with courage to change. Power of fire. Hail and welcome. By our tears that flow in sadness and joy, we call to the west and the element of water. Power of emotion and consciousness, flowing with the ebb of a deepening twilight, filling our souls with compassion and healing. Power of water. Hail and welcome. By the strength of our bodies that uphold one another, we call to the north and the element of earth. Power of growth and manifestation, nurturing dark of the mother's womb, moving our hands to sacred action. Power of earth. Hail and welcome. I now ask you to close your eyes or lower your gaze as you feel comfortable. Together, we're going to cast this circle. Feel and hear and see the energy of each element moving within you. Blowing yellow air of wonder. Burning red fire of courage. Flowing blue water of compassion. Grounding earth, green of action. As they move, these energies combine. Yellow, red, blue, and green becoming one silver light that overflows from you, becoming an orb of empowering protection, holding you in its embrace. And even as it holds you, you reach out with this same flowing energy to touch that of all those who are gathered here in this place, the same orbs of energy that hold all of us in protection. Our connection and our power grows until we are one shining circle of power that embraces all, a guardian and protection to contain the power we raise through our fellowship this night. At the center of our fire burns the fire of remembrance. The center of our circle burns the fire of remembrance, through which we will honor our beloved dead. For by worshiping at a common hearth, we become one people, one community, one spirit. And now, as one spirit, we call to the divine, to the goddesses and the gods, and to you who are both and neither and all. Please join us this night to witness our work. Uphold us in our grief and help us to remember the profound blessing of being alive together at this very moment, in this very way. Divine Spirit, be with us now. Our circle is cast, so mote it be.
So mote it be. We began this evening tonight. Thank you very much, Diane. That was beautiful. Remark, we started by saying that death is a part of life. And while this is true, death by plague is another thing altogether. As Dr. Anthony Fauci has said, we have not had an experience like this in our nation for over 100 years. In the 1918 flu epidemic, over 50 million people died worldwide. And today we are very much, unfortunately, in the time of this disease. And our world has lost over 1.4 million souls, with 230,000 of them, the last I checked, in the United States alone. Joseph Stalin once said that one death is a tragedy, yet a million dead is a statistic. The sorry truth shows how our minds can lose the ability to scale up when it comes to large numbers. For this reason, it's important to compare the numbers in order to visualize better what this means. As of the time that I wrote this, which was probably Monday, there are 1,100 Americans dying a day due to COVID. A 747 airplane holds 336 passengers. And what that means is we're really losing 3 plane loads filled with Americans each day. In the so-called Great Wars of the 20th century, America lost approximately 116,000 dead in World War I and 405,000 in World War II. In the Civil War of the 19th century, we lost over 655,000 Americans. Yet we're only 8 months into this pandemic and we've already lost 230,000 Americans. So it is clear that our number of American deaths is a collective trauma that will leave a scar on our national psyche for many years. We know others may be on this call from other countries, and we know that you have also felt the pain and the devastation of this pandemic, and that it's global, worldwide, frightening, and overwhelming. However, I don't want to get lost in statistics, as unfortunately they have a tendency to erase the human face of suffering. Here in the United States, deaths have been primarily hitting hardest minority people of color, as well as older Americans. Many of us have lost someone or know someone who was seriously sick. Perhaps we ourselves have been seriously ill, or maybe suffering lingering problems since we don't know the full scope of this disease. Some have lost multiple family members and friends. Many have died without someone to mourn them. Those lost were someone's loved ones. There are people that are currently dying and that have died alone because of fear of contagion. They were unable to know the comfort of having loved ones nearby to hold their hand or to help them in their transition. And even after death, some people may have had their loved ones' bodies held in cold rooms and storages, as many funeral homes are unable to handle the overload. Many have not received the blessing of official religious or spiritual rites, and this hurts all of us. It does not give us the opportunity of healing that's afforded through proper mourning ritual and ceremony. So together, we honor the fact that despite death being a normal part of life, this type of death is not normal and represents a divine imbalance. In the Lukumi tradition, which I'm also a practitioner, misfortunes are known as asobos, and this one is known as aro. It is the misfortune of sudden death and disease that causes much grief, harm, and suffering. With that in mind, I'd like to invite you all now as a sacred task and a sacred duty, and I thank you again for being here, that we will honor those who have been lost. We believe in the sanctity of life and the reality that spirits exist beyond the confines of the material plane. So when we pray and honor the dead, pray for and honor the dead, we bring light and comfort to their spirits. What is remembered is not forgotten. May we return to balance.
Samhain, as the world dies around us and the nights grow long, the veil that divides the living from the dead wears thin. We honor our ancestors by building them altars, visiting their graves, cooking them meals. We carve jack-o'-lanterns and dress in costumes to keep restless spirits at bay. This is the time of the year when we, the living, encounter death. But in encountering death, we also reaffirm life. The sweetness of candy we give our trick-or-treaters symbolizes the sweetness of life, reminding us to live consciously and purposefully. Our ancestors live on in our customs and in our memories. And in honoring them, they encourage us to live life as we wish to be remembered.
Thank you. So Mother Nature decided that she was going to rain tonight. And we had an outdoor fire ritual planned, but thankfully we have an indoor fire that we will light right now. So I invite all of you to get your candle so that you may light yours in solidarity as we light the fire of remembrance. May this light comfort the many beings who experienced earthly death this year, the two-legged animals, as well as our animal friends that we share the planet with, and all the loved ones that we remember at this time. May our light and the lights that you join with us together assist them as they cross into the next plane for whatever is next for them. So be it.
So be it.
So now I am going to invite our beloved guests. If you wish to have a name of a loved one remembered, please go ahead and type it into the chat. I would like to remember all of the medical personnel, including many doctors that have died from this disease.
My grandmother and my mom.
The children that died of this disease, the teachers that have died of this disease, the frontline workers at your grocery stores that have died of this disease. The animals in the labs. The animals in the labs from Sarah. We remember all those that we love. And now we will feature our fire. So those of you at home can join us with your lit candles, and that we can have a moment of silence for those who have gone on, letting them know that we love them and we send them love and light.
all the names spoken out loud or in our hearts or to ourselves or remembered. May they be comforted. May the fire guide their way. So would it be.
So would it be.
So now that we've done our work, this night that we have grieved and remembered, it's time to open up our circle once again and to return to our everyday lives. But we have been touched by what we have done here today. We have been changed by this work. We will never be the same. By the strength of our bodies that uphold each other, by our tears that flow in sadness and joy, by the love we share that burns in our hearts, by the breath we draw to speak our memories. We remember the power of the elements, earth, water, fire, and air, that burn within you. We remember being joined to everyone else who is in this working tonight as we prepare to return to a mundane space. We pull back that energy, gently pull back from one another. Feel that silver light turning back into the distinct colors of the elements. Feel it ebb and flow away from you, radiate out from you, ground into the earth and flow away. Exhale. 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 We give thanks to the powers of the elements. Hail to you, east, north, west, and south. Hail to the deities, all gods and goddesses, all of you who we know and not know, all names who have been given and names that have been lost. All of you who are between genders or no gender or all genders. All divine spirits, all divine sparks, all that is one spirit, all that we here honor and hold within our hearts and our souls. We give thanks for your many blessings this evening. As our circle is open, it is never broken. We know the memories and the love of our ancestors and our beloved dead go with us always, live always in our hearts. Merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again.
Thank you so much, Diane. Thank you to all of you for holding space with us tonight. We here at One Spirit and also here at Soul Blossom Center would like to continue tend and hold this fire as we enter the final days of what we consider the old year at Samhain. If you wish, we invite you to keep this custom in your home this weekend. Light your candle and remember fondly those whom you've loved. What is remembered is not forgotten. And with that, we have a song that we wish to share. Thank you again so much for being here. And this song remembers the lives of our loved ones, that even in death, life is a celebration. So we invite you to dance.
When I die, I don't want to rest in peace. I wanna dance in joy. I wanna dance in the graveyards, and while I'm alive, I don't wanna be alone. Mourning the ones who came before. I wanna dance with them some more. Let's dance in the graveyards. Gloria, like some other name, we kept on calling you and waiting for change. But I belong to all of your mysteries, and all of us were meant for the fire, but we keep rising up and walking the wire. So when we go below, don't lose us in morning. Rest in peace. I wanna dance in joy. I wanna dance in the graveyards, and while I'm alive, I don't wanna be alone. Mourning the ones who came before. I wanna dance with them some more. Let's dance in the graveyards. Whoa, let's dance in the graveyards. Oh my love, don't cry when I'm gone. I will lift you up, the air in your lungs, and when you reach for me, we'll dance in the darkness, and we will walk beyond our daughters and sons. They will carry on, and we will stand beside and breathe in their new dance in joy. I wanna dance in the graveyards, and while I'm alive, I don't wanna be alone. Mourning the ones who came before. I wanna dance with them some more. Let's dance in the graveyards. Whoa, let's dance in the graveyards. Whoa.
Well, thank you all so much for coming tonight. And we hope that you have a wonderful Halloween. And we hope to see you all very soon.